Welcome to Wrangler Springs Ranch, home of the 2026 Spartan Ultrafecta Weekend. This is big sky country, and if you've never raced out here before, you're about to have a memorable weekend. One thing worth noting up front, this venue is new. Spartan Montana has been around for a while, but this is the first year at Wrangler Springs Ranch. Spartan was in Bigfork a few years back, but moved to Bozeman a couple years ago. Moving back to Bigfork, even at a new venue, is a welcome change. There will be some things nobody can tell you about yet. That's part of it. This area sits right next to Flathead Lake, and although the course won't use the lake dominates the landscape. It's open, it's big, and there's just not much around to hide behind. The terrain out here is not clean or predictable. You're going to deal with uneven footing, loose sections, things that keep you paying attention. Footing will be an ongoing issue for all distances, the ultra, the beast, the super, and the sprint. It's not extreme, but you need to keep your head in the game to avoid ankle and foot injuries. Getting here is pretty straightforward, but it's not flexible. Kalispell has a small regional airport with direct flights to major U.S. cities, but not all of them. Most routes have one flight a day. Miss it, and you're probably waiting a day. Rental cars at Kalispell can sell out, so book early or you could get shut out. Once you land, though, this is an easy airport. No lines, no chaos. You're in and you're out. I ran this venue 2 years in a row, and the day after the race, the airport was filled with Spartan racers. It was pretty fun. But there's another way to get to Kalispell. Instead of flying into Kalispell Airport, I'm flying into Spokane, Washington, and driving in. It's about 4 hours away. The flights were a lot cheaper, and I had more options. Even with the extra hotel, it saved about $500 and made my schedule more flexible at the same time. That works for me, but it might not work for everyone. Weather out here can be bipolar. You might get sun, you might get rain. There's a good chance you'll see both in the same day. One year this venue had cold, rainy weather that turned into a sufferfest. I'm bringing extra compression, rain gear, hot hands, suntan lotion, just in case. If you have different running shoes for different terrain, it might make sense to bring the shoes with better grip. If it doesn't rain, this has been a fairly dry course regardless of the venue. But that obviously won't change if it rains, and it'll get very slippery. From a climbing standpoint, this is not a heavy climbing course. There's no significant climbs. From the course map, it looks like rolling terrain. But there are climbs, just none of them extreme. The real climb is the altitude, and that's a different story. All distances start at about 2,900 feet. That's where this race gets interesting. Heart rate goes up. Breathing gets tighter. Recovery takes longer between efforts. So even if the course doesn't look hard on paper, it can feel harder than it should. It's not the climbs, it's the air. And here's the context that matters. This is the first event outside of the New Jersey Ultra and Trifecta Weekend where altitude is actually a factor. Everything before Montana, other than New Jersey, has been flat to moderate. If your training has been at low elevation, miles 8 through 12 on the beast are going to feel different than anything you've done this year. The Ultra doubles that effort. So there are a few things I do in preparation for a change in the elevation and the altitude. This is where I think people get caught. They don't hydrate enough. They don't take in enough carbs. They go out too fast on day one because the first few miles, they just feel manageable. Ignoring the altitude and underestimating the sun, they can get you into trouble. And both of those will find you if you run into the afternoon. Altitude makes the uneven footing more complicated. So staying controlled in your pace and your footing removes a variable. Short steps, stay light, Let the terrain set your pace. Obstacle by obstacle, be efficient. This may be a race to keep some energy in reserve, so keep that in mind, because altitude is the X factor here. Hydration matters more here than it did at your last race. Altitude is a constant and increases the cost of everything. I'm going to start serious hydration on Wednesday. During the race, I'm going to stay on top of it and drink throughout, because by the time you feel it, you're already behind. My motto in these types of races, run by effort, not pace. If it feels harder than it should, then it is. Hike when it makes sense. There's no shame in a high altitude, and there's a real cost in ignoring it. Save energy early so you have something to use later. That's especially true if you're running multiple races this weekend. A few things before you go. Plan for variable weather. Layers, dry clothing, dry clothes in the car. Start hydrating before the race, not during it. Give yourself extra time. It's a new venue. Things will still be finding their place. Lines could be longer at check-in. Be aware of that. Respect the altitude, especially if you've been racing at sea level all spring. And keep this in mind. This is the first real test of the year unless you did the Ultra in New Jersey. This isn't the first race, it's just the first real test. This course will tell you exactly where you are. That's it for this preview. I'll be out there on the 9th and the 10th, and I'll have a full race review up on shankgym.com a few days after the race. Good luck this weekend. I'll see you in Bigfork.